Dear students, a warm welcome. This is Professor Senthil Kumar here. It gives me immense pleasure to reach you because in this time of pandemic, when the whole humankind is going through one historical crisis, the only way to tide over is that to get ourselves engaged with meaningful things. I've chosen one specific topic for you to get engaged with. That's follow-up stories. When it comes to feature writing or any other form of journalism, follow-ups are an important aspect of our news story. They will go back to what happened 1 year back, what happened to 1 month back, what happened last year, what were the controversies that shook the world 10 years back, and what happened to them. Recently, there was an interesting news story on Raghu Roy going back to Bhopal. You know about the Bhopal tragedy, Bhopal gas tragedy, where the gas leak in the Union Carbide factory led to the deaths of hundreds and thousands of people. Raghu Roy was one of the photographers who photographed an iconic image. The next day to the Bhopal gas tragedy, he went to the place where there was a burial ground. People were burying their dead ones. And at one place, Raghu Roy was witnessing an elderly person burying his only child. The theory goes that the child was buried. There was a mound. What will be visible in burial ground? There will be a huge heap of sand would be visible there. Will there be something visible to tell you something? No. Instead, the legend says that Raghu Roy, the famous photographer, makes the father to dig the burial ground so that the face of the dead child is visible. Because as it goes in journalism, nobody likes an image with no human element. When we were discussing about your project work, I gave some of you the feedback about the lack of human element in a photograph. It's very vital because it shows. It's kind of a lively picture. If some human being is there in an image, it has more value than an image without any human image. Some buildings without any human being standing there. In journalism, they call it as dead picture. When some picture has only some sort of either trees or buildings or any sorts of stuff that's not directly connected with human beings, they call it as a dead picture. So Raghu Roy, an ace photographer who knows it very well, just makes the parent dig the grave of his own child, and he opens up the mound, and there he sees half of the face of a child who was dead in the previous night's gas leak in Bhopal gas tragedy. He took this picture. It became a world famous thing. Recently, he went back to the same site, and it was a kind of an emotional journey to him. So, not just Bhopal tragedy, for any news event significant or for that matter, a follow-up story is very important. For even Sterlite thing or even Jallikattu protest, you can go back to those people who were part of that movement, who were fighting against something else, or any significant event. You can go back and find it. It is there so because of one aspect. Because in journalism, news doesn't work like an analog clock. What is the role of an analog clock? It moves in a single direction. You cannot go back. It moves in only one single direction. But in the case of journalism, it's not like that. You can always go back to the past. You can come back to the present. Whatever that's happening in there is a breaking news. You can break any fresh news. At the same time, you can be futuristic also, not futuristic. I'm talking about futuristic news. Then the news will predict what will happen next. For example, if you're writing about the economy of next year, what will be the impact of pandemic COVID-19 on the economy on the next 3-year scale? That's a futuristic story. You can list that such industries will be severely affected, like small and medium industries will be largely affected, service sector will be affected. In which way they will be affected? It's called a futuristic story, that where you try to predict the future. You're not just going to do guesswork. Instead, you are applying scientific parameters to say what will happen in near future. So as per the definition, news doesn't work like an analog clock. News can go back to whatever that has happened in the past or go to the future, what's happened in the future, right? Because of this aspect of news and journalism, follow-up stories occupy a very important position in journalism. There are 4 key parameters or aspects that make follow-up stories important. One is continuity, because something has happened in the past. What's the status of today? For example, when I was a journalist, there is famous case of the murder of a student. Was a very sensational case. Murder of Navarasu, Navarasu, Navarasu. If you Google it, you can find it. The Navarasu was a student in Annamalai University. He was supposed to have been murdered by John David. John David was his senior. It was a case of a ragging, it was supposed to be, but the body of the dead boy Navarasu was found so mangled that the investigative agencies were not able to pinpoint the reason. If I am asked to go back to that story, I will go back to that story. The fact is that the person who was supposed to have killed Navarasu, John David, has been released, has been acquitted. To be precise, has been acquitted for lack of evidence. The boy is dead. The boy belongs to a very affluent family. His father used to be a vice chancellor of a university. Even then, there is no justice for his son's death, right? So there is a continuity. Whatever that happens in the past, you need to link it with something else. The second point is curiosity. Curiosity is the basic reason why people read newspapers, why people read news. So if you feel curiosity, if you are making them interested in something, that means that they want to keep a tab on, keep a follow-up on that particular thing. The third aspect is correction. Something you report something. You report about a particular issue in a particular manner. You show something in a negative shade, but later on you find out that it's not. It turns out to be false. You have to correct it, right? The thing that is reported wrong, you have to correct it. You have to mention that it was wrong. There's a famous case that many car companies do, is that they take back their vehicles with flawed design or flawed mechanism. For example, Toyota company is known for its callbacks. They will call back the entire story. As the same equivalent, stop press is a term that used in magazines. Stop press, S-T-O-P space press. Stop press means in the printing press, magazines will be getting printed. During that time, if the editor finds out an important mistake that needs to be corrected, he will just say stop press. Even if 50,000 copies have been printed of that particular magazine, it will lead to a huge loss. Even then, they won't allow that to be printed, because they don't want to publish some information or news that is not considered correct or not correct or could be ambiguous. So the journalists also are human beings. They can sometimes do mistakes. If they do mistakes, they should always get the opportunity to correct it. This is the third thing why follow-up stories are needed. The fourth one is missed news. There is a saying by a famous journalism scholar that if you hire hundreds and thousands of journalists all over the world, you won't be able to cover all the news that's happening all over the world. The fact is that everything has a limit. If you take a newspaper, it will have 24 page or 16 page or 20 page. If you take a magazine, it will have 56 page or 64 page. You have a framework within which you have to give a news. So any particular day, the news editors or journalists will have to scrap certain news, because lack of space, they have to scrap certain news. So whatever news that has been missed, even if you find it important, to actually report it back again. You can take it up as a follow-up story and say that we weren't able to publish this story on that particular day, but at the same time it's important, so we are going to publish it now. These are the four things that have the key aspects that are needed for a follow-up story. One, continuity. It gives you a bird's eye view. the other example that many people refer is that kind of a ripple. Any news is kind of an it creates some ripple. Yeah, a pond is very still. You throw a stone into a pond, there is ripples, right? Most of the journalists just see the falling of the stone into the pond, but as a good journalist, you should be able to see the ripples also. So you should be able to cover the follow-up stories also, so that it will give a continuity about that particular news. The second one is curiosity. The third one is correction. Whatever that has been made, there has been mistakes in the past, you have to correct it. We will been talking about vehicle recalls. The last one is missed ones. So okay, at the point we have come to the penultimate or the final moments where we are going to discuss about the follow-up stories. What are the 5 or 6 stories that I will think I will follow up on? One, hanging of Nirbhaya convicts. Many of you have written stories on that one. The Nirbhaya convicts have been hanged. Even if given a chance, I would like to go to the family of the Nirmala Bai's convicts, and also Nirbhaya's mother. I will talk to her that what's her feeling now. Also, I will just check whether just because of those people who have been convicted, have been hanged, are women becoming better safe to move in public places, or do women still have fear in moving in public places? It will be a very important story that will only set things right, because obviously the government and the authorities will want to bury the thing inside, because they don't want controversies. Just by hanging certain people, they will create a semblance of safety among you, but it may not be real. Number one. Number two is anti-CAA protest. It began as an protest against a particular act, then it had lots of ramifications. So just because of pandemic like COVID, it doesn't mean that we need not talk about CAA protest. What happened to those protests? What happened to the protesters? They say that there have been fake cases arraigned against those who have conducted CAA protest. Number two. Number three, Rafale aircraft deal. It was a big debate when the last Lok Sabha elections was conducted, because they felt that it's going to be a game changer. The Congress might win the elections, but ultimately BJP won the elections and came back. What happened to that Rafale aircraft deal? The fourth one, attack on JNU students. It was a blatant attack on JNU students, has witnessed through many videographic evidences. We have more and more proof for blatant violation of law and order. Even police force not acting on the violators. What happened to that particular incident? There have been many FIRs filed in those cases. What were the latest update on those things? Then the Shaheen Bagh protest. What's the most unique about Shaheen Bagh protest? Shaheen Bagh is a place in New Delhi. The Shaheen Bagh protest has many uniqueness, like what the Jallikattu protest that happened, which happened in favor of Jallikattu. Shaheen Bagh protest was conducted by Muslim women and kids. When you take the images of those protests, you will see that only women and kids were there. As a community, Muslim community is a kind of a closed community, who won't easily merge with other people. Even within that community, Muslim women are not so easily seen in public domain. Within that community, women are coming out with their kids, and you know about Delhi. If people know about Delhi, what sort of place is Delhi? They are protesting in an open place with their kids. It's a big thing. What made women who, particularly especially Muslim women, who usually remain indoors, to come out and protest in an open place for months together? But for this thing, COVID-19 outbreak, the protest would have continued. Think of that. So that was the link I gave you about Shaheen Bagh protest. The next one is Delhi riots. Delhi riots, even respected judges have commented that it was a blatant violation of law and order mechanism. because there were accusations that even police people were hiring country-made guns and using against innocent public. So what happened to Delhi riots? What were the FIRs? What happened to this FIRs filed against a few people? Is there some justice happening, or they are just covering up the issue? So if I'm given a chance, I will just go back to all these stories and try to find out what's happening today. Okay, as a last slide, I will just walk you through the prominent websites that I usually follow, because even for journalism, this is a very difficult time, because there are not good players who provide you the authentic sources for news. In my case, I believe in 4 major news platforms. One is the print.in. I believe in it because it's been run by a respected journalist named Shekhar Gupta. He's the most respected person in the country. I think he's the head of the Editors Guild also. Number 2 is Scroll. Scroll is known for its fearless reporting. It takes the role of what Indian Express used to take in the past. Indian Express used to say that the role of a press is anti-establishment. The role of media is to criticize government. The Scroll.in takes it seriously. Because of that, I think they have been arraigned with lots of FIRs and cases by the people in power. Okay, the third one I will refer is that the Wire.in. Wire.in was launched by Siddharth Vardarajan. Siddharth Vardarajan was the former editor of the Hindu Chennai edition. Even while he was the editor here, he was said to be firebrand. He was with the New Indian Express, I think. Wherever he goes, he brings in a serious kind of a journalism which everyone needs to follow. So I follow the Wire.in. The last one is the Quint.com. The advantage about Quint.com is that they use multimedia techniques so that it's easier for you to go through their content. So these are the things that I wanted to share with you about the importance of follow-up stories. Coming back to it, there are 4 types of aspects that makes follow-up stories important. 1, continuity. 2, feeding to feed the curiosity of the audience. 3, correcting past mistakes. And 4, publishing the missed ones. So I want you to go through the 4 media websites that I've referred to you. I would like you to do a simple task. I need you to find out what are the follow-up stories these people have traced back, and what is that importance, why they have chosen those particular news for follow-up stories. I think after I share you the video, you will go through these websites and come back with lots of comments. I know that I have lots of confidence in your capabilities. Hope we will have a meaningful conversation in the next few days. Thank you, Wonderful.